do have a lot of Spanish-speaking moderators, and we will continue
So
to.
how many Spanish-speaking staff versus English-speaking staff for misinformation do you have?
I can get back to you on the specifics, but dangerous misinformation is moderated regardless of language.
Not to the degree that it needs to be.
We can continue to work hard.
When there's misinformation, people base their decisions that oftentimes put them at risk and in exposures and their families at risk. And with the coronavirus, especially prior to the vaccines, the risk was their life. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would like to clarify something. In the follow-up question to Representative Dunn's question just now, I misunderstood the follow-up about ByteDance spying on behalf of the Chinese government. My answer to that question should be a no, because
as if the mainstream media doesn't have misinformation.
Gentleman time expired. Gentleman, or chair recognizes gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Coulter, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Chair, we've been going a long time here by now.
Yeah, I'm tired. I don't know how Mr. Chu's doing it.
A lot of them have not been answered. And primary thing I want to do is just share some thoughts.
Man's only the CEO.
Learned today, been exposed to. First of all, I've got to compliment you on having a product that's impressive. It is a very influential tool. It is addictive. That's what you want users to be exposed to, is something addictive, and it is a data gathering masterpiece.
Like every
So clearly,
social media.
it's got the potential to sell products, connected like-minded people with that artificial intelligence capability in a viral fashion, and perhaps spread information quicker, better than anything else that's been developed out there. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not a subscriber, at least a willing subscriber.
What? Did someone
Probably in that database
threaten
somewhere
you?
is my preferences with colors or foods or who I've spoken to or what I've said or my favorite newspapers. I don't know. But that's available to be sold or given to whomever or whatever. And the whatever is what bothers me.
What?
I'll use myself as an example again. If for whatever reason I became a target in this, I became somebody you didn't like, and I know it'd be hard to believe because you gotta like me. Why? Let's say you didn't, or your company didn't.
Where is this guy from?
That artificial intelligence algorithm could be shared or spread selectively to a targeted audience that with negative information that maybe has been paired up with that knowledge in that app to make me look really, really bad. Or to the converse. Same thing could be done to make me look really, really good. Here's the problem.
I'm so
It's
confused.
someone else or some artificial intelligence algorithm that has inordinate power to subjectively
Idaho.
combine strategic data with strategic audiences to shape whatever thoughts and news they want. And I've equipped it, not even knowing it. And that process could apply to anyone or anything. There's the danger. It could be the President of the United States. It could be their kids. It could be a company. It could be a political party. It could be a news outlet. Anything could be.
You know, they were
targeted
talking about
for
Mr.
that
Chu
selective
running out of time.
spread
They just
of
keep
just
running their
some
time.
Information. Mr. Chu, this may be genius, but that doesn't make it fair. It doesn't make it good, and it doesn't make it accountable. I wouldn't want my government to have that ability. I wouldn't want a company or a political party or my friend August here or my mother to have that capability.
What?
I certainly don't want
Mr. Fulcher.
that to be accessible to anyone in China.
Not a
There's
soul?
no question it's got immense value. And as proof of that, you're here. Because this hasn't been a fun day. I know that. Hasn't been a fun day for us either.
Is he our father or our teacher
Artificial
or?
intelligence is difficult to manage once it's on auto cruise control, and it's, as we've talked about, nearly impossible to wall off data. I know the idea, I know a little bit about databases, I know a little bit about corruption of those databases. It's very difficult to wall things off. And unfortunately, there's this thing called human nature where there's some dark components from time to time. There's always a temptation to monetize things or perhaps use some of these tools for nefarious purposes, and they can have absolutely devastating consequences. Mr. Chu, I'm going to wrap up my comments and just say that this is so attractive. TikTok poses as a Mr. Rogers neighborhood,
What?
but it acts like Big Brother.
Oh, don't get me started on Big Brother. Patriot Act, baby.
Gentleman yields back. Oh.
Gentlemen, you.
Our government has been listening to us ever since that Patriot Act bill was passed.
Gentleman yields.
Yield to, Mr. Morgan.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Chu, earlier we had submitted into evidence the TikTok ByteDance and their ties to the Chinese Communist Party report that was filed as an exhibit last week with the Senate in Australia.
Okay, Virginia.
If you have any comment, I'd like to get it on this paragraph out of their summary. Our research confirms beyond any plausible doubt that TikTok is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is a PRC company, and ByteDance is subject to all the influence, guidance, and de facto control which the Chinese Communist Party now subjects all PRC technology companies. We show in this report how the CCP and the PRC state agencies together, the party state, have extended their ties into ByteDance to the point that the company can no longer be accurately described as a private enterprise. You keep calling it a private enterprise, but all the countries in the world are saying it's not a private enterprise, it's part of the Chinese Communist Party. What say you, sir? Yes or no? Is it part of the Chinese Communist Party, as everybody thinks? Or are you still living in some mystical world?
Why are you so
I
mad?
disagree with many
Because
conclusions.
you're living in the mystical world, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Your recommendation is. The gentlelady from Minnesota is great for 5 minutes. Well, thank
What
you
is
so much, Madam
happening?
Chair, for yielding. Mr. Chu, I'm probably like a lot of parents who are also members of Congress out here. I know a number of us, when you testified earlier today, you mentioned that the over 35 segment is a growing group of potential users. As if over 35 is old, and I realize that my own
What?
children think that I'm ancient.
Oh, so now
But
she's offended.
like a lot of us up here, we understand that there is some potential good. And of course, many of your influencers are doing what they're doing for all the right reasons. But one thing in your testimony you said a lot was safety. But as a mother and as a member of Congress and as someone who's very concerned about drug use in our country, I was surprised that that didn't come up once in your testimony. No real reference to it here today. You know, I've raised my concerns in general about social media platforms serving as an illegal marketplace for drugs in prior big tech hearings, and I plan to continue that focus during today's hearing. Mr. Chu, a March 8th, 2023 article in the Washington Post detailed the fact that TikTok has made little progress in combating the sale of illegal drugs on your platform. In fact, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser said that getting drugs on a platform like yours was nearly as convenient as using a phone to order a pizza or call an Uber.
Well, then you need to start banning
That same
phones because
article
I'm sure it's the
mentions that law
same.
enforcement agencies have been frustrated by TikTok's lack of competition in the form of data sharing. In my view, TikTok has taken little action in response to this crisis. According to a May 2022 blog post from TikTok, you donated $125,000 or 0.001% of your 22 revenue to an anti-drug effort on your platform in the form of ad credits. You also redirected hashtag drugs, hashtag fentanyl, and other obvious hashtags away from posts selling drugs to a community resources page, as if a teenager looking for drugs is going to look for them at hashtag drugs.
What?
Drug dealers have easily worked their way around this using emojis and slang to
The dealers work their way around everything.
To this day, it is possible for anyone.
Maybe
to
our
log
government
into
should be
the
more
platform
concerned about the
and find
dealers than about
drugs.
TikTok.
And the consequences of that
Right.
can be fatal. What are you doing to move past these token efforts to prevent teenagers from accessing drugs on your platform? Look, as parents up here today,
Can you let him answer?
We may not understand everything about your platform.
Yeah, because she's old. She's
tech
ancient.
guru. Many of us up here may not use exactly the right language, but we know when our kids are at risk. And our kids
Oh, they
are
don't care
at
about the pew
risk
pews.
on your platform. So what are you going to do to move past these previous token efforts?
Congresswoman, we do take illegal drugs content on our platform very seriously. It violates our guidelines, proactively identify and remove them. And as you pointed out, if
Wow.
anybody searches for any drugs on our platform, we do point them to resources to help them with that. At the same time, we have also taken product changes. Like for example, we don't allow our under 16 users to use the right messaging. And the reason is because, we wanted to, there was a trade-off here. And we believe that, it will protect these younger users better from getting contacts from people trying to push illegal activity. So we will continue to work on it. Again, no company can be perfect at this. We're not saying
Mr. Chu, I with all due respect,
Mr.
no
Chu.
company can be perfect line has been used way too much today. I'm going to reclaim my time. Clearly in the 3+ hours you've been before us today, what you're saying about Project Texas just doesn't pass the smell test. My constituents are concerned that TikTok and the Chinese Communist Party are controlling their data and seeing our own vulnerabilities. If you were an American company, we could look at your 10K, we could see who your shareholders are. The answer you provided earlier today, you'd rather not tell us what your compensation is or how it's derived.
Because he's a privately owned company.
No American CEO would like to tell us that, but they have to because they're an American company. So what you're doing down in Texas, it's all well and good, but it is not enough for us to be convinced that our privacy is not at risk. So how can you say that you're protecting American users' privacy with the CCP being so heavily involved with ByteDance? It's not possible. China won't even carry your product. How is it that you can convince us that our privacy is not at risk? And more than that, our kids' privacy is not at risk in this country.
China won't carry the
my
product
opening statement.
because it's a censored. Oh, he can't talk again?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
You're
We're
kidding.
going to continue on. Gentleman from Georgia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chief.
Georgia again? Is it the same guy?
September
No.
2021, the
Darn.
Wall Street Journal published an article titled "How TikTok Serves Up Sex and Drug Videos to Minors." This article gives a chilling depiction of the types of content that TikTok's algorithm is curating for our children. This article claims that your application served an account that was registered as a 13-year-old, quote, videos about
Better ban OnlyFans. Pans.
It referenced to cocaine, meth addiction, and promotional videos for online sales of drugs. The algorithm was also found to have delivered countless videos depicting, quote, pornography and other adult content to the device of an account that was registered as a 13-year-old. Could you please explain to the members of this committee and parents across the country why your company deems it acceptable for such inappropriate content to be prominently featured on a child's For You page?
Stop acting like the parents don't have the responsibility
A
to
lot of the
parent.
content that you mentioned, Congressman, are violated of
Of
our
the
own
community
policies, and
guidelines.
we don't think they're acceptable, and we will remove them when we identify them. We take this very seriously. I mentioned this. This is an industry-wide challenge. We're investing as much as we can. We don't think it represents the majority of the user's experience on TikTok, but it does happen. Some bad actors try and come in and post some of this content, and we're doing our best to invest as much as we can to remove them.
Well, I would say you're not doing enough. I have 14 grandchildren, Mr. Chu. You personally believe that such content is appropriate for minor children to consume?
Then parent your
There's one of the content
grandchildren.
that you mentioned, like porn, for example, is not allowed on our platform. So no, I do not think that acceptable for young people to consume.
Earlier this week, the Wall Street Journal published an article titled, quote, TikTok's Chinese partner has another wildly popular app in the US. This app is called CapCut. It is a video editing tool to help users go viral on TikTok. While for obvious reasons, most of our attention is focused on TikTok and ByteDance, other companies and their applications are also continuing to exploit the privacy of Americans. TikTok.
You know who's
CapCut,
the biggest exploiter of the privacy of
all
Americans?
these
The
apps
United
are also
States.
controlled by
The Patriot
ByteDance
Act.
and pose serious privacy concerns. In 2022, it was reported that TopBuzz, an international version of ByteDance censored Chinese news app,
ByteDance, B-Y-T-E.
pro-China messages to Americans. When it comes to the data privacy of Americans, we must have a clear set of guidelines to ensure Americans' data is protected and not passed along to unknown third-party actors who could pose a threat to our security. I urge my colleagues to continue to work together to pass a national data privacy bill, not just one out of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, but also through the House of this Congress. It is the only systematic way we can address privacy concerns. Unfortunately, I've been given no reason to believe that TikTok does not pose a threat and cannot be trusted to follow our laws when they conflict with the desires of the Chinese Communist Party. Your firewall that you're talking about, if you had a bad actor in your what you call your Texas initiative,
Now we got another hypothetical
to get through that
theory.
firewall and send any information that they wanted to send anywhere directly to the Chinese Communist Party. Did you deny that?
Congressman, this risk that you talk about exists for every company, bad actors.
I'm talking about TikTok, sir.
In fact, the risk is lower for us because these
It is a risk, correct?
the personnel will be vetted. So the risk is actually lower than most companies in the industry.
Well, that is why we have to deal with your company. And with that, Madam Chair, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chu, thanks for being here today. Your testimony discusses an effort your company has named Project Texas, and the investments your company has made in creating a firewall between the United States user data and entities in China.
How many times are they going to repeat
influenced by the
themselves?
Chinese government. And with your company's recent announcement by CFIUS that CFIUS has instructed TikTok to separate itself from ByteDance or face a ban, TikTok's commitment to retaining this firewall is at a crossroads. I want to ask you some questions about your company's long-term plans to ensure the safety and security of American data. And this, for me, is the crux of the concern for me about TikTok. First of all, does the Chinese government need to approve Project Texas for TikTok to agree to it?
Congressman, we have designed Project Texas to move forward in the United States. This is something that we have described at length in the written testimony and in my opening statement. Firewall of American data stored on American soil by an American company, overseen by American personnel. This is designed to move forward in the United States.
But does the Chinese government need to approve Project Texas for you to agree to it?
We do not believe so.
God.
How is TikTok considering the future of Project Texas in the event of a sale or other ownership changes? Are there elements of the Project Texas that TikTok would change prior to? Or?
I cannot speak on this hypothetical or on on potential owners who I cannot represent.
Okay, you don't know.
I don't know. Yes.
Despite Project Texas's planned positive changes, it does include several broad exceptions that would allow large amounts of U.S. user data to routinely leave the country. I want to know a little bit more about these exceptions so I can understand whether Project Texas can live up to its promise protecting Americans' user data. I understand that under Project Texas, business data and public data will be permitted to regularly leave the United States. Is that correct?
Almost all the data is under the that's not public. It's under the definition of protected data. This accepted data that you mentioned, I can get back to your team on this, is really for interoperability purposes to make sure that the business can still operate and American users are still getting the benefit.
Can you tell us
global
what data, where the data goes and how it's used by the company?
It will travel outside of the United States, but I can get back to you on the specifics. It's data that it cannot be used to identify users, so it really is data that ensures the interoperability of the platform.
And I understand that. I think we would want to have some understanding of how we would distinguish that by definition and then also how it would be enforced.
I can get back to you on those specifics.
How is the US data used to promote certain content back in the United States market, for instance?
I'm sorry?
So, what you have US data feed, right? How can you discuss, when you discuss where the data goes and how it's used by the company, how and at what points of data transfer does the US data feed the PRC developed algorithm used by TikTok?
Whoa.
TikTok is not available in mainland China.
The PRC developed algorithm used by TikTok, how does US data get fed by that?
Right. I wish I was friends with Mr.
The US
Chu today so I could hear him
algorithm
bitch
that
about
uses
this
the
whole
US
situation
app is in
afterwards.
the Oracle Cloud infrastructure and is trained by US and global data.
Exactly.
Again, TikTok
When you
is not
sign the
available in
terms and
mainland China.
conditions, you give your own personal
How
right
do we
away
trust
to
that
that
these exceptions
company.
for Project Texas won't be
Why can we not
used by foreign
decide?
government or by foreign adversaries?
This is the fourth commitment: transparency, third-party monitors, including the definitions of these exceptions, and we can be very transparent on how they're used.
Okay, I guess my question will be that you want to get back to me in writing, that's fine, but how we would distinguish between the data or interoperability that you suggest.
He wants to get back to
needs be
what?
shared with what data would it be shared?
It's again, it's first of all, public data is not part of the protected data definition because public data is what users want to share globally. So if you post a video and you want someone in France to see it, just by definition, it has to leave the United States. Otherwise, the world cannot see it. Now, there are certain aggregated and anonymized data sets that's useful for interoperability for advertising, for example. And that is part of what we're talking about.
Right.
I can get back to you on the specifics, but
I think we'd also want to know how it's anonymized, what oversight and enforcement we could count on.
okay, I can get back to you on specifics.
Thank you. I get that.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas, Mr. Fluger is recognized for 5
How
minutes.
many representatives
Madam
from
Chair.
the same
Mr.
state
Chair,
are going to
I
come
gotta hand it
forward?
to you.
Oh, we got a Bristol board.
That in the last
Bristol
3 or 4
board,
years
Bristol
has not
board.
happened, except for the exception of maybe Vladimir Putin. You have unified Republicans and Democrats. And if only for a day, we're actually unified.
And I hate
I think
both
we have
parties.
serious Concerns. Does TikTok support good?
Support
Is
good?
TikTok a platform for good? Just yes
It's
or
a
no.
fucking
I believe yes.
company.
Okay. Does TikTok support freedom of speech?
Yes, it's one of the commitments I've given this committee.
Do you personally support the First Amendment?
He's
Um,
not from the
understand
US.
As the CEO of TikTok,
I'm here to talk about TikTok.
as the CEO of TikTok, do you support?
TikTok supports freedom
Thank
of
you. Does TikTok support genocide?
again, Congressman. I'm
It's
here
a
to talk about
company.
TikTok support genocide? Does TikTok?
No, but
Okay, thank you.
TikTok.
but
So, I'm reclaiming my time. I'm going to go to a video now.
Oh, here we
And it's
go.
from Enes Kanter Freedom. And I'd like you to see Enes Kanter Freedom, who has spent his entire career post-NBA fighting against human rights violations within the Chinese Communist Party. Go ahead and play this video, which highlights a situation that allegedly shows some human rights violations inside China. Please play.
Perfect. That doesn't
Mr.
look
Chu,
like.
this was a video that was posted on TikTok by Enes Kanter Freedom. Are you familiar with this basketball player?
I'm not familiar with the specifics of
Yeah.
this, but I can tell you
Are
that,
you familiar with the player Enes Kanter Freedom?
Congressman, I'm not
Okay,
familiar with this.
That's
You just have to open TikTok and just search for this kind of
Okay.
content. It really exists.
I've read the moderation policy. Let me just quote.
Someone said,
what,
imagine watching
talk
this and
about
your video
content
pops up.
moderation. TikTok has a moderation policy, yes?
We do have,
Yes.
community guidelines. that-
One of the guidelines says material that in the sole judgment of TikTok is objectionable. Is this an
Yes.
example? Banning Enes Kanter freedom, is that an example?
What was that
of
video?
objectionable
I'm so
material
confused.
Inside the Chinese Communist Party in mainland China?
We do not take down content simply
Why?
because it's critical. of
He
China.
was
We do
banned
not do
1
that.
week after this video.
We do not do that. And I can
If
check on this.
you need a note, go ahead.
The note says he's not back.
His account was taken off
Well,
1 week after.
We can check on the specifics.
We can check.
Yeah.
So, let's get to some other questions, for the slide. Your privacy policy states that you collect a great array of data, keystroke patterns, app file names and types, sometimes approximate location, GPS location. Are keystroke patterns and rhythms part of TikTok gathering, the data that is gathered by TikTok?
If you're talking, Congressman, specifically about keystrokes, keystrokes, we do not engage in keystroke logging to monitor what the users say. It's to identify bots.
Okay.
It's for security purposes, and this is a standard industry practice.
You gather a lot of data, safe to say.
We don't get them. We
Oh,
don't
the
believe we get
first
them more
award's
than any
gone.
other social media company.
TikTok gathers a lot of data because your value proposition, as you sat in my office and told me, was to connect people to each other around the world. You told me this in my office. So you gather data on what they like and what they don't like, and then you show them things that they don't know they like, but eventually they may. You told me this.
I think that's I don't think that's what I said. What I said is that we connect people together, yes.
Are you,
These are interest signals, and that doesn't mean that we collect more
are
data.
you aware of any instances of TikTok distributing content from Chinese state media?
I'm sorry?
Are you aware of any instances of TikTok distributing content from Chinese state media on the platform?
I thought we
Well,
got
we
over
don't
this
have
whole
really for
ridiculous
users to
China
understand
thing
Do you disagree
when
with
we
FBI
got
Director
Trump out of
Wray and
office.
NSA Director Nakasone when they said that the CCP could have the capability to manipulate data and send it to the United States? Do you disagree with their statement?
Their statement says could.
So do you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with that.
Okay, so it is possible that the CCP, under the auspices of ByteDance, which is your parent company, which you get paid from, has the ability to manipulate content that is being shared with 130 million Americans, yes?
Congressman, I just want to make sure I'm understanding all these questions. I don't disagree with them that there are data risks in general. That's what I meant.
There's a big data risk.
But on us specifically,
Are there engineers located inside mainland China that work on TikTok? Not Douyin, but TikTok.
we are not the only company that has that.
Are there engineers inside mainland China currently working on the algorithm for TikTok?
Congressman, like I said,
As you told me in my office.
there are other companies that, as I told you in your office, there are
By
other
the way, I'm
companies
going to reclaim my time. Please rename your project.
What?
Texas is not the appropriate name. We stand for freedom and transparency, and we don't want your project. I yield back.
Poor Mr. Chu, what the fuck is this?
Gentle lady from Tennessee is recognized for 5 minutes in social media. Madam Chair.
Please rename your project. We're a private company.
Both President Trump and now President Biden have backed forcing TikTok to sell to an American company. However, the Chinese Communist Party has put export controls on algorithms like dance-ons that power TikTok. And of course, this has created a gauntlet of regulatory hurdles in China and the US that prevented the sale of TikTok. Now, as a longtime business owner, I want to tell you, Mr. Chu, that waiting until your hands are forced will only drive down the price of your app. And right now, both your hands are tied. And you're going to have to make a decision about whether you choose freedom from the CCP or you continue to be an agent of the CCP. And I'll tell you why I say it that way. As a former member of Homeland Security, I point blank asked FBI Director Wray, is TikTok a national security threat? And without hesitation, sir, he looked at me and said, yes, Congresswoman, it is. Now, how much data is ByteDance collecting through TikTok that's worth continuing to fight this regulatory gauntlet? Why not take the money and run like any other company would do?
What?
Congresswoman, we built Project Texas in order to safeguard, and we listened to the concerns that have been raised, and we're building something that's unprecedented that no other company is offering to protect U.S. user interests. And we believe it is rigorous and robust. And we're even offering third-party transparency and monitors to come in to verify this. Frankly, I haven't heard any good reason why this doesn't work. I've heard a lot of rhetoric around this, but I haven't heard a good reason why it doesn't work. I
Well,
look forward to these conversations, by the way, with you.
absolutely. Well, let me go down this road. When TikTok was unveiled to the
TikTok.
public, its business model was solely based on generating revenue from advertising.
Of course.
ByteDance operated a separate app called Douyin for the Chinese marketplace. TikTok is embarking on becoming a so-called super app. In other words, it's a one-stop shop with everything we do, as Representative Fulcher said. It's reported that TikTok's algorithms are so powerful that owner ByteDance has begun to license it to other companies. TikTok's recommendation engine drives usage on the platform. This leads to promises of quick exposure and fame that leads to even more people joining. And when you sign up, TikTok starts collecting data about you, your location, your gender, your age, your facial data.
Like every
User
social media app
consuming
out
the
there.
content. And that's by design.
Like-
And obviously, that makes you a lot of money. Now, I know that the Chinese Communist Party is preventing ByteDance from selling TikTok due to export restrictions on the technology, and this causes me to question, how are you going to power TikTok with your Oracle servers located in the US with that Texas project, with ByteDance technology, if it can't leave China? How's that going to happen? I just want you to explain how it's going to happen.
Congressman, the way that we designed this is so that any piece of software that is
TikTok.
with the code that enters, that some technical details around this will be reviewed by a third party or a few third party monitors, just to make sure that we're all comfortable with the code. I want to say this again. I don't know of any other company in my industry who's offering this level of transparency.
Well, why are there two different versions of apps, one in China and one in the United States?
It's just a different business.
Well, I think we all know the reason that the Chinese get a different version, because ByteDance puts China first and America last. And, TikTok has, with everything we've heard today, sir, when you see 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds, you see the degradation that's happening to our youth and our society. It's deceptive, and it's destructive comments, and the worst thing is that it's deliberate, sir. And that's not acceptable.
Is she gonna cry?
With that, Chairwoman, I yield back.
And the lady yields back.
Parent your children.
From Iowa.
See you soon, Ro.
Recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just like to thank our witness, Mr. Chu, having been in the hot seat, so to speak.
Right.
Before, when I was in State Senate, I know how challenging this can be, and thank you for your demeanor throughout all of this. But certainly, as you can see, in a bipartisan way, we have concerns, and those concerns are valid. And this is
They're so proud of themselves for finally getting along about one fucking thing.
Individual keystrokes.
Only for security purposes, for example, detecting bots, but we don't monitor what users say.
So the only purpose that you would monitor keystrokes is for security purposes.
I can get back to you on more specifics, but this is not unlike what many other companies in the industry does.
So the keystroke monitoring does not go beyond what common industry practice in comparison to platforms like Facebook or Instagram use.
Yes, I believe so.
And does TikTok keep records of users' credit cards and passwords?
I'm not aware of that. You don't need that to log in. Of course, I can get back to you on specifics if you make a transaction on an e-commerce platform. But regardless, all that US data will be stored within the Project Texas firewall.
So not
within
leaving
the
our
Oracle Cloud
country.
Infrastructure and overseen by American personnel.
So you would store credit card and password information?
If needed, but you don't need it to get into the
I need to
app.
check on the specifics. We are launching a pilot e-commerce plan, and we're making sure that that data is very secure within the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure.
I think you've made a point of saying that your platform is not different than other platforms on social media, and
True.
therefore are no more responsible than Facebook or Instagram
Yes.
or Twitter or the other social media platforms. The concern, however, comes with where the technology is generated and whom it is owned by. I mean, The case of other companies is generated in the US, under US guidelines, under US privacy laws, with certain parameters versus generated through a parent company, ByteDance, which, as we know, is susceptible to the laws of the Chinese Communist Party, which has access to all of that data and information. And I understand that TikTok has just reinstated Enos Kanter's account recently. So our concern, and the question I have for you is, why would China or the Chinese Communist Party be opposed to a forced sale of TikTok?
I cannot speak on behalf of the Chinese government. I can say that we designed Project Texas to take it forward here in the United States.
No privatized
I
companies should be
believe
bullied to
there's
sell to
unprecedented,
another country.
protection for U.S. user data.
Yeah, I think the problem is when there is a lack of transparency, then that leads people to believe that there's something more nefarious and that there is in fact data that is.
Yeah, I think there's something more nefarious with our government.
Not only to children in the United States, but also poses a risk to national security. With that, I yield the rest of my time to my colleague, Jay Obernolte.
Thank the gentlelady from Iowa for yielding. Mr. Chu, I'd like to continue our discussion about Project Texas and the technical details about what you're proposing to do.
Again, this man?
You are migrating all storage of U.S. user data to the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, and you think that will be done by the end of the year, is that right?
Again, I can get back to you on the technical parts of it. The migration today by default, all new US data is stored by default.
Sir, I'm just using what you said in your testimony in your opening.
It is stored there by default. What I said in my testimony is I'm deleting legacy data. This is Virginia and Singapore. That's
so when this migration is complete, who will have access to that data?
Right now, a team called TikTok US Data Security, led by American personnel, we have access to that. We have begun this operations already.
Okay, but the app itself has access to the data, correct?
Only through that. Any employees that have the data.
No, what I mean is, like, if I lose my iPhone and I reinstall the app and I put in my username and password, my app will reconnect to the mothership and download some of that data. I said
that's not the way it works.
Like,
that's not the way it works. It will go through the Oracle Cloud infrastructure and that team.
Yes, I realize that. So let me ask you this: what would prevent then someone with detailed technical knowledge of the way the app is constructed from creating an almost identical version of the app that could also access that data?
What?
We are giving you third-party monitors and transparency.
But they're monitoring the source code for your app. I mean, ByteDance, these engineers have been working on this app for years. What would prevent them from making an app that could also access that data?
Congressman, I think we're going into the area where, what if there's a hacker?
Yeah, a hypothetical situation.
This is problem, as you know.
Well, I mean, I see my time's expired. It illustrates the point.
Then stop talking.
Gentleman's time is expired, gentlelady's time is expired.
Y'all don't let him talk?
I recognize that we have run over. I appreciate your time. We have just.
So they ran over their own time,
Would appreciate the chance.
but they haven't let him talk at all.
There are 5 minutes worth of questions. Gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Griffith is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Chu, you share legal counsel lawyers with ByteDance, yes or no?
Yes, we do.
And you testified that you prepared extensively with your legal team for this hearing, yes or no?
With my team in DC,
including some of your legal counsel.
Yes.
Okay. And did they tell you about the report to the Australian Senate of March 14th that I referenced earlier? Did they tell you that report was out there, yes or no?
I cannot recall how I found out about the report.
Do you know about the report?
I can check. Yeah.
And did they tell you to favorably cite the Citizens Lab in your written testimony today? Yes or no?
Congressman, I need to get back to you.
They helped you with the preparation of your written statement, though, didn't they?
A team prepares, yes.
Yes. And did they tell you that the director of Citizen Lab says he has called out your company for misrepresenting the report repeatedly and did so as late as yesterday? Did they tell you about that? Yes or no?
Congressman, the Citizen Lab is saying they cannot prove a negative, which is what I've been trying to do for the last 4 hours.
All right. But you cited it favorably as saying that it did positive things for you. That being said, let me ask you this. You keep talking about transparency. but you haven't been transparent with us here today. You were asked earlier by Mr. Hudson if you own stock in ByteDance. You said you didn't want to reveal that. Well, we're trying to figure out what the ties are between ByteDance and TikTok. I'm not going to ask you how many shares you own, but do you own shares in ByteDance, sir?
Can people calm the fuck
How about
down?
TikTok?
Right now, all employees own shares in
For sure. I expected that. I just don't understand why you didn't tell Mr. Hudson that and we're transparent earlier. Instead, you made us drag it out of you. All right. Now, let's talk about the kids. You told several of our folks that there was a 60-minute deadline. You also told us that if you were under the age of 18, you couldn't access the live section, the live option. So I texted my 17-year-old and my 15-year-old, and I basically got scoffs back, when I said, are you all limited to 60 minutes? My older son said, well, there is a notice I get from time to time that says I shouldn't be on more than 60 minutes, but it never has kicked me off. And my younger son said, oh, I'm on as long as I want to be. So I'm just informing you, whoever told you, particularly if it was your legal team, that that's not accurate. That they're on for more than 60 minutes and they can access the live section. I believe it was Mr. Carter that said they couldn't, under 18, access the live, being on the live section.
They can access being on live, but not like.
You're doing, it ain't getting done. Now, let's talk about the law.
It's not Mr. Chu's job to parent your children.
You share legal teams, but you keep talking about how you got a firewall between you and ByteDance. You can't have an effective firewall under the United States interpretation of such if you're sharing legal counsel, because anything that you say to your legal counsel, they can share internally. You've got the same lawyers. Now, maybe you have two different teams of lawyers in the law firm, but that's not what you said to us today. You said you share lawyers. There is no firewall legally. I'm just telling you. So if you want to clean it up and be transparent, you need to do something about that. Wouldn't you agree? Yes or no? But you need to do something about that.
Congressman,
You'll look into it. You'll look into it. You're looking into it all the time. All right. You told Dr. Burgess when asked if your employees.
Why is he so angry?
If your employees who were members of the Chinese Communist Party had access to TikTok data from the U.S., you said you didn't know who was a member of the Communist Party. But then Congressman Wahlberg, you said that the CEO of TikTok was not a member of the Chinese Communist Party.
Why are we terrified of the Chinese Communist Party like we're back in like 1970? Cold War.
Sir, either you know who is and isn't a member of the Chinese Communist Party or you don't. Which one is it? I submit that you know, and you just aren't giving us the straight story. Clearly, you know, but you denied that. Dr. Burgess.
I can ask one or two people, but we have no policy to ask employees. I can ask one or two people, but who are in.
But it's reasonable to assume that with a significant number of members of the country of China being members of the Chinese Communist Party, logic would tell us, you're a logical man, I assume. Logic would tell us that there are a fair number of your employees who are members of the Chinese Communist Party, at least a dozen or so, who have access to this data. Isn't that so?
We need to ban all smartphones then.
Again, like I said,
if you're this concerned.
We don't have a policy to ask everyone.
I said earlier, you're living in some kind of a cloud world.
Oh my God.
You know or you don't know. I yield back. Thank you, ma'am.
Why is he so angry?
South Carolina chair recognizes for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think what's been revealed today, there's not a degree of separation between ByteDance and TikTok. I'd like to enter in the record Heritage Foundation document, TikTok generation, a CCP official in every document.
Without objection, so ordered.
And I'd like to yield the balance of my time to Kelly Armstrong from North Dakota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr.
A lot of assumptions, a lot of hypothetical situations being brought up in this.
We may collect information about you from other publicly available sources. What publicly available data is TikTok collecting and adding to the profiles of users?
It will be publicly available, but I can get back to you on specifics.
Okay, what is the purpose of obtaining even more data on your users beyond the data collected from the platform?
We collect data. We want to give our users, by the way, a lot of transparency on what data we collect. We give them choices on the controls of their own privacy settings. And it really is to serve them a better experience. This is the reason why so many people love the app. It's a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
So how does the non-TikTok related data service provider relate to the service provider?
What?
I need to check the specifics and understand the question and get back to you.
He's
Do you
just a
think
CEO.
the
He's not an
average
expert.
TikTok user knows that you are and understands that TikTok's data collection extends to information outside the use of the app.
We do give
Everything on our phones
transparent
does.
information on this, and like I said, I don't believe we collect more information than most of the social media platforms out there.
Snapchat has access to my entire camera roll if it wants it.
Corporate structure. You described that TikTok is a subsidiary of ByteDance. Mr. Griffith just said that you guys share the same lawyers. You have stated that your direct report is the CEO of ByteDance, but you've also stated that at certain levels, TikTok operates without direct daily control from ByteDance. You have used content moderation as an example for that. TikTok's privacy policy states that you may share user data within your corporate group. Does that corporate group include ByteDance?
If you are talking about that one entity that has the share for Chinese media licensing purposes, I think it's called Beijing Douyin Services. If you're talking about that entity, the government share, the answer is, we have cut off, all access of US data sets to that.
So
employees of the entity.
Google and
But your user
Facebook will
privacy
hand
is
your
your
information
corporate
over to the
ByteDance
police
party.
if you're thinking about
ByteDance is
getting rid of your
is
child in
is
that
the
way.
company. So yeah, you're talking about the other.
Sorry guys, I'm
entities
live on
within the-
TikTok too and live on YouTube. Also, if
So
you like my
just
content on
specified that you
TikTok,
firewall
please
this.
follow
Does that
me on
statement make
YouTube
sense?
because
So
they
you're
are
saying
going to ban
TikTok's
it.
executives that operate independently of ByteDance, but does that statement not hold for sharing of access to data?
Well, I was talking about that one entity that has that many of you have raised some concerns. That's the entity that I'm talking about. The entity with the Chinese government's investment that is for the purpose of Chinese internet licensing for the Chinese business.
Let me ask it a different way. What other entities have access to TikTok user data?
But after Project Texas, we're going to move it so that only TikTok user data security has control the access of that data.
Okay, so, and we could bring you back either after Project Texas is done, but right now, what other entities have access to TikTok's user data today?
Only by requirement. It's really only by requirement. Certain employees require some access of data to help build the product. But for US, we have moved it from Project Texas, and by the end of this year, it will be firewalled.
If this is your privacy policy today, like I understand.
It
what
takes
you're
a
telling
long
us,
time
what
for things to get into
potentially gonna happen in
motion.
the future, I have concerns again about CFIUS and government involvement, private organization, all of that. I'm just saying, this is your user agreement today. So your user agreement says that you share access with your corporate group. You're telling me what's going to happen whenever Project Texas gets done. I'm asking you today, who has access to TikTok's user data?
In our user agreement, Congressman, but in our privacy policy, we also added a link so that our users in the US can be informed about Project Texas. The link is there.
So the link is there to private, but I understand what you're trying to do moving forward. I have my own concerns about that, but we're sitting here today in a hearing, and your privacy policy is different than your testimony. Your privacy policy specifically says that you can share user data within your corporate group. So you're saying even though your privacy policy says that, you're not doing it?
Like I said, I don't think there's any contradiction. Like I said, Project Texas when it's done.
It's like he's on
we firewall
trial.
off the data. We still have some
They're
legacy
so
data in
aggressive.
Virginia and Singapore that we started deleting. It will be done by the end of this year.
So at the end of this year, then you won't share it. Does that mean you're sharing it today?
I don't believe so, but there is some big data.
Then why haven't you changed your privacy policy? Why haven't you updated it?
We need to get Zuckerberg on that stand too. And what's his fuck? Elon Musk. They all look so proud of themselves as they pass the baton off, and I'm sick of them. Did he just get up and walk?
Back. Gentleman from Texas. Chair recognizes for 5 minutes.
Did he walk out?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the
thank you
subscription.
For bringing Republicans and Democrats together. Appreciate that.
Oh, this
I'll
guy.
get right to the critical point of concern. So TikTok is able to collect massive amounts of personal data. We all know that. That means it could, if it desired, use this data to influence narratives and trends, create misinformation campaigns, encourage self-destructive behavior.
Y'all can't laugh
allow drug cartels
at this. They're making fun in the TikTok comments. Remember what happened to Pete Davidson when he made a joke about Mr. Crenshaw on SNL?
TikTok that is controlled by
Nearly canceled.
Party, all these other social media companies are not. Do you agree that TikTok is controlled by the CCP?
No.
Okay, I thought you'd say that. I disagree, as you thought I might say. Here's why I disagree. Your parent company is ByteDance, right?
That's correct.
That is correct. So many of the workers who work at ByteDance are Communist Party members, right?
I wouldn't know.
Well, I think, for example, the chief editor at ByteDance, Zhang Buping, is the Communist Party secretary, correct?
He works on the Chinese business, not on TikTok.
Right. He works for ByteDance, the parent
He works on
company.
the Chinese business.
Right. The parent company of TikTok.
The Chinese business is called Douyin.
Yeah, but it's all associated with ByteDance, right?
So ByteDance owns a number of businesses.
Right.
They are.
You all report to ByteDance. Everybody's part of ByteDance. Okay? And do you know of any other employees that work for ByteDance that are part of the Chinese Communist Party?
Like I said, ByteDance owns Chinese businesses and they operate in China.
You don't know how many, but you acknowledge many must be card-carrying members of the CCP, right?
They're in the Chinese business, yes.
Yeah,
Can someone
CCP
explain what
holds what's called a
CCP is to
golden
me?
share in ByteDance that allows the CCP to control one board seat in ByteDance. That's publicly
That's not correct.
not correct. It's been publicly reported. They admitted to it.
It's you can on our website we've updated it so we can give people more transparent information on this. We have a share in a subsidiary that is only for the Chinese business. There's nothing to do.
Thank
with
you.
TikTok. And it's for the purposes of
Communist
content
Chinese
licensing
Party,
in China.
thank you.
There's not an internal CCP committee, which is a regular thing that happens in China. They have a CCP.
Why do they act like it's a cult?
I run TikTok. I cannot represent
ByteDance.
this
Talking
business.
about ByteDance. No arrangement in ByteDance. So
Again,
here's the main point of concern. China's 2017 national intelligence law states very clearly that, quote, any organization or citizen shall support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work in accordance with the law and maintain the secrecy of all knowledge of state intelligence work. In other words, ByteDance and also your TikTok employees that live in China, they must cooperate with
Oh, hey,
Chinese
Shining
intelligence whenever
Nathan.
they are called upon. And if they are called upon, they're bound to secrecy. That would include you. So, Mr. Chu, if the CCP tells ByteDance to turn over all data that TikTok has collected inside the U.S., even within Project Texas, do they have to do so according to Chinese law?
Congressman, first I'm Singaporean.
That's fine. But
Yeah.
there are employees of yours and ByteDance is in China.
We understand this concern. In my opening statement, we said we hear these concerns. We didn't try to avoid them or trivialize them. We built something where we take the data and put it out of reach. This is what we did. We put it out of reach.
But they own you.
No, we put it out of reach by storing them.
ByteDance owns TikTok. If ByteDance is and the CCP owns ByteDance because the CCP owns everybody in China. So by law, they can make them do whatever they want, and they say that by law, you can't tell anyone about it. So they can make you hand over that data. Is that correct?
Data is stored here in American soil by an American
Well, you
company,
say that.
overseen by American.
We've got that, but leaked audio from 80 internal TikTok meetings shows that U.S. user data has been repeatedly accessed from China when you said it hasn't been. And here's the other thing, following back on my colleague's line of questioning, in your own privacy policy, it says that you may share information within your so-called corporate group. Is ByteDance part of that corporate group?
They're talking about the share of the entity with the share. I shared with the previous.
Is ByteDance part of the corporate group?
ByteDance as a holding company is part of the corporate group. Yes,
it's part of the corporate group. Okay, so your own privacy policy says you have to share data with ByteDance. And if the CCP says, hey, ByteDance, you're going to do what we say, you can't tell anyone about it because by law, according to that 2017 national intelligence law, they have to do it. That's our concern. Maybe you haven't done it yet, but my point is that you might have to. And that's where our concerns come from. I mean, over
Hypothetical situations. Again.
Worked for China's state-run propaganda media. That's just from looking at their LinkedIn profiles. Okay, so my last point is this. I want to say this to all the teenagers out there and the TikTok influencers who think we're just old and out of touch and don't know what we're talking about.
You are!
Favorite app. You may not care that your data is being accessed now, but it will be one day when you do care about it.
It's already being accessed by the Patriot Act.
You see how you see it. They can make you believe things that are not true. They can encourage you to engage in behavior that will destroy your life. Even if it is not happening yet, it could in the future. The long-term goal of the Chinese Communist Party is the demise of the American power, and that starts with our youth. At any moment, they could demand that all of TikTok's data be used to design an AI algorithm with the sole purpose of promoting Chinese interests and destroying our society from within. You want to know why that's Democrats and Republicans have come together on this? That's why we are so concerned.
No, because our government's corrupt. Let's just call it what it is. Oh my
Nellie knows
word.
that. I remind the members they have 10 business days to submit questions for the record. I ask our witness to respond to the questions promptly. Pursuant to committee rules, I ask unanimous consent to enter the documents from the staff list into the record. Without objection, so ordered. Members should submit their questions by the close of business on April 6th. Without objection, the committee is adjourned.
Please follow me on YouTube if you like my content. I will be making shorts there if TikTok is shut down. God only knows. I don't know how Mr. Chu dealt with that. That is the biggest bullshit I've ever seen. I also don't understand, and maybe this is just because I lived in Canada most of my life, why we as United States citizens can't put a vote in as to what we would like to be a part of. This is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that both parties have come together on this, but they can't get together on our housing crisis or on why we are so freaking broke right now. Millennials are struggling to just get jobs, including myself right now. We can't come together on any of that, but we have to deal with a social media app that is doing the exact same thing that every social media app is doing across the board. I don't understand. Like, I am so fed up with this right now. I am so, this is the most ridiculous thing. Okay, let me catch up. I see Sammy is on YouTube here. Hunter, hey, how are you? I've got to catch up on these comments because I was looking at my TikTok comments. I could only have so much up on every screen. I think too, that's it. It's the money situation that they're getting so upset about. But what I don't understand is since, let me flip y'all around. What I don't understand is I've been researching 9/11 at a crazy rate, right? Did I do it? Sorry. I'm trying to flip you guys. I've been researching 9/11. The Patriot Act went into effect after 9/11 happened. That I can't remember what it was called, but there was a secret. I'm trying to mute the television right now. There was a secret, words are so hard, CIA thing that was put out, a Stardust, I believe it's called, and it was released in 2005. And it basically said, hey, the CIA is allowed to spy on us, collect data on us if they believe that we're a part of a terrorist situation. Okay. So that, and I mean, that's loose wording. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if we believe it, we'll see. I don't know what that recommends. And you have to be speaking with a foreign party. Well, a few years later, journalists find out that no, actually the main people they're spying on is United States citizens. And yet our government is so concerned. They're so concerned right now about what we might be giving the Chinese. What? They're like, you all are spying on us. You're taking our data from us. Like, no, that I personally, I don't understand. It makes me so outrageously angry. And they don't want us sharing information on this app. Like, this app has led to, I mean, we saw it with the midterm elections. The largest amount of Generation Z and millennials turned up to vote. And I have never been a political channel, but I swear to God, like, this is making me so angry because we sounded like the most hypocritical, ridiculous bunch of idiots that on that Congress meeting today. I'm so mad about it. I was taking notes like I used to do for the Johnny Depp trial. I'm going to make a whole recap on it this afternoon on TikTok. I can't believe this. TikTok, I will imagine after watching that today, TikTok is going to be banned in the United States. I can't believe it. Like when I started watching that hearing today, I could not believe Republicans and Democrats and those old people, they were so proud of themselves. Oh, we've really shown them or showing the youth. And it just because the young people don't think that this is a danger to them. What is up with the moral panic? It reminded me of when all the 80s metal hair bands were called into the Supreme Court to way back in the day to say that they had to protect their right to party. Like, literally, Twisted Sister ended up in the Supreme Court because they were ruining the minds of children. That's what this reminded me of, this moral panic. And yet, what is the leading cause of death in the United States for children? But we're not banning any of that. I'm really mad. So I'll make a little recap of this today over on TikTok. But again, if you like my content, I will be over on YouTube after this whole thing. I can't believe this. We are not in a free country. Like, we are not. This is censorship. And I honestly believe it started with the books that we were censoring in Florida. I believe that's where this whole thing started from, and it is so scary. And you better believe that if they ban TikTok, they are going to start to either ban other social media platforms, or they're going to start to limit them, because they were even talking about that in Congress today. Like, if we can't ban it, then we'll start to, put restrictions on. Then they're going to stop us from organizing. And I'm not saying like organizing like on January 6th, which also, by the way, can we just talk about how Twitter is at fault for that? But Twitter wasn't on trial today. And like, you can say, well, that was just a hearing, but that seemed like a trial. It's absolutely crazy. It's censorship. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. And it is putting average Americans' lives like in jeopardy as well. Like, they're so concerned about the children. This is my livelihood you're talking about right now, taking away from me as a content creator. Also, how dare you say that they have a loose community guidelines? I get shit taken down on this app constantly. That's not even supposed to be, like, it's not even in infringement. Like, TikTok is probably the safest for your children to be on because they have such strict community guideline rules. It's ridiculous. And wanting TikTok to parent your kids, Sammy says 100%. They keep talking about my kid's staying up late at night. My kid says we can get on live, and we're underage. Why are you not parenting your children? Why are you not parenting your children? Why is this Mr. Why can't I think of his name right now? We just dealt with him like all afternoon. Why is it his fault? Like, why is it the CEO of TikTok? Why is it his fault? And then they kept getting upset with him because he didn't know everything immediately right there. And they kept throwing words into his mouth. And it's like, he's just the CEO. And I don't know if any of you guys have worked for big corporations before, but usually, as someone that's worked in the service industry, big corporations don't know what the fuck is going on with their average working individuals. It's just like politicians and how y'all don't understand what's going on with the average working human. I am so upset over this today. Oh my God. Yeah, our kids. It was a huge moral panic. It was a witch hunt, and that was a trial entirely for show. And I will not be surprised if TikTok ends up banned or restricted in the next month. They said they're going to try to put this through as fast as humanly possible. Again, if you like my content, I will be over on YouTube, deep diving Dell'Olios, or the same username here will bring it up as well. I just cannot believe this. I'll be doing shorts over there, and I'll continue doing my lives over there if TikTok is banned. This is so bananas to me. And all they're doing is bullying him. They're bullying. I can't believe they're bullying another country to sell. And I mean, mind you, this is a privately owned business. So you're trying to bully a privately owned business to sell to another country. We are the tyrants here. Like, let's just be completely honest. The United States is the tyrant in this. This is ridiculous. This is so crazy. And I really believe it started with, we're seeing it, the censorship of our people. We are seeing it start with the books. It's going into social media, and it's going to go as far as we allow it to go. And I don't know if there's any way, I don't know if there's going to be protests. I would be happy to go to a protest in Texas. Let me know if there's any in my area, because I'll be out there. This is so crazy to me, because it starts slow. We saw it all across the board. We saw it back with Germany way back when. Like, do not tell me this is going to end. So this is bananas. And I just can't believe how out of touch all of our politicians were that spoke today, except for Miss Clark. I think her name was Miss Clark. I wrote her down. She was the only person that made any lick of sense, because Black content creators on this app are constantly being shunned by people. She brought that up. That is 100%. That app, for whatever reason, it seems like it's got something against Black creators. That is an issue that needs to be addressed. That's what we should be talking about, not about banning the app in totality. This is ridiculous. Exactly. How is this not going to put thousands of people out of a job? This is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard of. So anyways, that's my rant on this. I'll calm down a little and then make a little recap of everything we watched in the last 8 hours. This was not how I planned to spend my day. I actually have to take Miss Queech to PetSmart and get her a new cone, because she was attacked by a dog this week. And her cone from the vet is a little run down. We got to make sure those staples don't get out. And it's taking away freedom of press. Also, the mainstream media, they've totally lost control. Like, let's be real. So I think this also has to do with the money, not only the money that TikTok is bringing in, but the money and the loss of attention from the American public that mainstream media is receiving after content creators like myself, are actually reporting on things. As we saw with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, and maybe it's because of their jobs, because their jobs don't make them actually research things. So they just kind of skim the board and put together whatever. But also, we do know our media is owned. So they spend 15 minutes, an hour putting together an article that they haven't really researched, let's be honest, and then putting it out for the American people with no sources. Meanwhile, influencers like myself get on here and say, hey, but check it out for yourself. This is what I found. Like, it bothers me so much. So anyways, that was really eye-opening today about our American government. Really eye-opening for me. This has been, and I understand banning it from government devices. I mean, I think Twitter and Facebook, all social media apps should be banned from government devices, just like you see it with companies. You ban it, like that's social media apps. That's on your own personal time. But this is bananas. Not to mention, and then they kept talking about propaganda. You want to talk about propaganda? CNN, Fox News, stop it. Stop it. Like, we just sounded like the biggest hypocrites today. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to get it together. I'm going to calm down, but I wanted to pop on and say hi to everybody and commiserate, because I wanted to see if everybody else felt the same as I did as an American sitting here screaming. And I just can't believe this is what's going on with our government right now. So yeah, who's Keith Lee? Hold on. No, thank you guys for hanging out with me. And yeah, I'll make a little recap. I can't remember if we're going live tonight or not on YouTube. I am not. I have to go to, I do have a part-time job, thankfully. I have to do tonight. TikTok creator. Okay, I'm gonna look at that. Perfect. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Please follow me on YouTube if you haven't already, because God only knows with TikTok where this is headed to. But thank you for hanging out, and I'll see you guys later. And thank you, YouTube, for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Please continue sharing the channel if you can, because yeah, I have a feeling that TikTok is going to be gone. Let me just catch up on your comments here. The reason the government came together is to ban Chinese spy app because Silicon Valley can't keep up. That's 100%. Totally agree with you. Hunter Biden's plug. I love that name. Hey, Lifestyle by K. Is this a trial to try to ban TikTok? Yeah, so it was basically a hearing today where I guess he was trying to defend the app, and then they're going to start making decisions about whether or not it should be here. TikTok is a slight work compared to average American website. They won't talk about immigrant camps in America. No, we're never at fault. We're the good guys. Remember, we're the good guys. This isn't a trial; it's a hearing before Congress. Yeah, 100%. But yeah. Oh no, American Canadian here. My brain hurts. I want to move home. That's how I feel today. Like, quite honestly, I was like, good, thank God my lease is only a year, less than that now. I'll pack up and go home, because this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And I cannot believe how they kept crying for the children. And I'm like, we don't care about our children in the United States. We don't. And then a couple of them, you saw them cry about the rights for women that were doing. Okay. Let me backtrack. I'm upset right now. You saw them talk about how women in the United States, when they go onto the app and they see safe ways to do an at-home abortion, because Roe versus Wade was overturned here, right? And they were talking about how it's unsafe and all of that. And there's concern, for the safety of our women in the United States. Fuck right off. There is no concern for women that want abortions, safe abortions in the United States. Stop it right now. Oh, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I'm so upset. I can't believe, I just can't I can't believe it. And under the desk news, you saw V. She was there today too. So I'm sure over on her TikTok, she'll be doing something about this as well. But I can't believe their concerns, because their concerns, this moral panic. We don't care about our children. We don't care about women in the United States trying to have a safe abortion. It's not true. Yeah, no, this was the craziest thing I've seen in a while too. Really eye-opening about our government. But anyways, I'll pop off here. I will summarize what I thought was the most heinous things. I just think we just embarrassed ourselves just across the board. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. Bye.